Whoa, good morning. Good morning and welcome home to Unity. What a glorious day to be gathered together here in our home. Unity is, I'm Barb Buchanan, by the way, licensed Unity leader and prayer chaplain. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. We gather to create an experience of spirit. At UnityCR, we offer practical teachings that empower abundant and meaningful living. Meeting you right where you are, we endeavor to provide a variety of ways to support your path of spiritual living. We're all on the path. In your bulletin, you have a tall sheet that lists our spirit activities. There will be brunch today in the community room with Tracy, Pat, Bill, I do believe is our trio today. Today is also another class of Loving What Is by Susan and Jan. So we invite you to attend that powerful class of meaningful experiences in that class. We also have on May 1st a book circulation day from 9 to 1. And Ruth and Dale will be doing that in the community room. So come and peruse all those beautiful titles that you would like to have in your library. Also, in May 13th, 14th, and 15th, we have Martha Creek returning to us. And we know that we have an outstanding, marvelous firework experience with her. So I enjoy all of you come. It would be a great time. And be sure and mark that on your calendar. The prayer partner today in the room to my right is Polly. Thank you, Polly. Yes. And Ruth would also like help today after the service moving boxes. So if you can move some boxes, see Ruth. Ruth waved, I think she did, yes. One place to another place, yes. Also, before shutting off your phones today, we would like to invite you to check in with us on Facebook for your status update. And we appreciate your assistance in creating that presence in our community and sparking interest for those who may not know about us. And we also want to welcome our live streamers today also, wherever they may be. My friend Jean forgot to come today, and I said, well, you can live stream. How do you do it? So. Yes, go to the website, yes. All right. So there is an invocation in the bulletin. It's on the right-hand side of the page, beginning with, there is only one presence, and I invite you to say that with me. There is only one presence and one present in my life and in the universe, God, the good, omnipotent. I invite you into prayer at this most special time of the day. It is a good day. We are blessed to be in the spiritual center. And we open our hearts to all the gratitude and blessings that we receive every moment. We are blessed by those in our lives and all relationships in our community, and our community that expands out into the world and far beyond. In this place of gratitude, we send that peace, love, healing, and forgiveness to all those who need or deserve. We come full circle and we give of ourselves and receive and raise. So here in our community, let us send a blessing to those on our right and also those to your left. And those that are seated behind you. And those that are seated in front of you. With this consciousness of oneness, we are indeed blessed, each one of us. And so it is. Amen. Today is a special day. We may call it Earth Day, or we may call it Mother Earth Day, but, pardon? Gaia Day, yes. So the daily word for today is stewardship. We are caregivers of this wondrous planet, in awe of the sapphires of the sky, the emeralds and siennas of the ground, the sunlit horizons at dawn and dusk. We know God is present within our radiant world. With reverence, we are committed to its stewardship. As residents of Earth, we care for its components: the air, the soil, the water. We respect our plant life, the rooted, the floating, the climbing. We wisely use abundant gifts, yields of crops and vegetation, products of minerals. We give thanks for present and future resources of Earth as they are discovered, maintained, and utilized with care. We bless this precious place, for it is also the home of generations to come. We are good to the earth, our home, and earth blesses us with good. You see, Sarah, I also wanted to remind you that there are two important pamphlets out in the foyer about reuse, recycle, repurpose. And these have many, many tidbits in them, and you can keep them and refer to them and keep referring to them, and you can do lots of education with many, many people, including your family, perhaps. Okay.
Hello, we will be actually talking about many of the wonderful initiatives that we do here at Unity in caring for our earth and being good stewards. And we're also going to talk about faith and what faith means and what faith means to us. And we have some fun activities, some interactive things. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is how we have faith that the sun's going to rise, that the grass is going to grow, but how we impact that process and how we have to take responsibility to be good stewards. And so we will talk about we are living in the light because we have faith that things around us we living and that we're living. And I want to thank everyone who's been helping so much. And we're also talking about the exciting summer program. We'll have a 12-week summer program. And so as that develops and grows, I'll be sharing some things about that.
Good morning. Have you noticed how beautiful Mother Earth is in the last several days? Did we still appreciate Mother Earth on a blizzard day or a plain brown day? Thank you. Thank you. So here's a news flash. In case you've never seen an article online, heard a news story, read a book, or read an article, we are destroying Mother Earth one day at a time, one thoughtless action at a time. You know, there are climate studies all over the place, conducted, I might add, by certifiable scientists, people that have an education in this kind of a field. And the rate of global warming is obviously increasing. 1980 to 2000, those 2 decades were the hottest in 400 years. 400 years. And possibly the warmest for several millennia. Obviously, we're seeing the impact in the Arctic region. I don't know if you've been reading anything about that. Arctic ice is rapidly disappearing, and it is now predicted that we will have our first completely ice-free summer. This is the Arctic. We'll have our first completely ice-free summer as early as 2040. Polar bears obviously are dying because they're starving to death, and indigenous cultures are suffering from the sea ice loss. Glaciers and mountains are rapidly disappearing. For example, in Montana's Glacier National Park, in 1910, there were 150 glaciers in that one park. Today, take a guess, 27 out of 150. So that's what's going on with the sea level, Arctic ice. And when ice melts, water temperatures rise, water levels rise, and something that's highly sensitive, not to mention everything that lives in the ocean, but something that's highly sensitive to changes in water temperature is coral reef. And so the coral reefs are suffering bleaching and the worst die-off ever. And this is as far back as 1998. So we've got a few years on this statistic. It was recorded that some areas had bleach rates of 70% of the coral reefs. And a follow-up report by the international policymakers on climate control was released in April 2007, and they warned that global warming would lead to large-scale food and water shortages. Anybody notice Jan, your sister lives there, anybody notice the drought in California the last, 5, 6, 7 years? And they're also reporting that the sea levels could rise, get this, between 7 and 23 inches by the end of the 21st century. Now we have, on this planet, we have about 100 million people that live within 3 feet of the mean sea level. And many of those, of course, inhabit our coastal, vulnerable coastal cities. In the US in particular, don't be planning to move to Louisiana or Florida in the next 20 years. And some experts attribute the upsurge in extreme weather events, wildfires, heat waves, strong tropical storms. Of course, those are attributed in part to global warming. Have you noticed the erratic hurricanes and things like hurricanes and tornadoes happening where they never used to happen before? Tidal waves, heat waves, wildfires, these are becoming commonplace news in our world today. And I think, don't you have a little something about industrial?
I do. Can you hear me? Are we on? Yes, we are on. Excuse me one moment. Precious quantities. So one of our favorite activities that we do in the summer, and which is a huge cause of global warming, guess what it is? Lawn mowing our lawns. And we have, in the US, total CO2, carbon dioxide emissions from lawns is 25 million tons annually. And these are released primarily from the lots of figures. 2.2 billion gallons of fossil fuels used for our lawnmowers, leaf blowing, and the fertilizers that we put on our lawns. And another little figure about that is that the greenhouse gas emissions from taking care of our lawns are 4 times greater than the amount of carbon that is stored in the grass. We're going to get to solutions about all this later. Our next favorite topic, perhaps in Iowa or the Midwest, is our cows, our ruminants. They are estimated to be the largest single human-related source of methane. And cattle is 48 times higher than beans or grains per pound of food produced. Our little cows, I mean, really, you know, the land used for grazing is about 1/4 of the Earth's land area. And we have about at least 3.6 billion animals. And pound per pound, methane traps more heat than carbon dioxide. And as Brenda was saying about being really much, much warmer, even last year was incredibly warmer than 2014. It will only continue to rise that way. The last little topic here today is about food waste. And this seems to be really huge, and it seems really important also for me, but there are some things that contribute to that. One is the inconsistent date labeling on all of our foods. Like, what do we do with that, and what does it mean? Because it's ending up that we are tossing out food that we really don't need to. In fact, 90% of us toss out food that we would not need to do that. From the EPA, another big statistic, approximately 30 million tons of food to landfills each year. It's a large, large number. We all throw away food in the end. None of us are invulnerable to doing that. We also toss food for aesthetic reasons. The carrot has 2 legs. The potato looks misshapen, whatever it might be. And this one is rather staggering for me also. 6 billion pounds goes unharvested or unsold, and that's for aesthetic reasons. Globally, 1/3 of the plant's food goes to waste. We buy too much. Again, the misshapen, the odd-shaped ones, rotting food in fields or uneaten food. Another large figure. Globally, we squander 2.9 trillion pounds a year. Extremely huge. So if food waste were a country, it would be the 3rd largest producer of greenhouse gases in the world after China and the US. Something to ponder, as we say.
Did not know about the millions and trillions of ton in food waste. So it might appear, given just a few statistics that we've shared this morning, that we're all in a heap of trouble. So where do we turn, and literally, what can we do? As Barb mentioned, we'll discuss what we can do in a moment. And first, let's turn to principle. Unity clearly teaches that all life is based in consciousness. In his book, Mysteries of Genesis, Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote this: God ideated two universal planes of consciousness, the heavens and the earth. The heavens is the realm of pure ideas, and the earth is of thought forms. So this little piece of nugget describes the movie of our lives that we see playing out before our very eyes. There's the idea, the divine idea that comes out of God mind through us, and it takes form before our very eyes. And that's also true in regard to our consciousness and the effect that our consciousness, my consciousness, Barb's, Dale's, Barb's, and the other Barb, just whoever my eye lands on, everybody's named Barb today. The effects that our consciousness is having on our precious Mother Earth. There's a book by Elizabeth Sand Turner, old-timer, very well-known Unity writer, and she wrote that our environment is of our own making. Our environment, mentally, physically, spiritually, is a true picture of our state of consciousness. So it's the metaphysical concept of as above, so below, as within, so without, right? It's that connection between the spirituality in us and of us and how we're expressing that divine mind. In his book, Keep a True Lent, Fillmore said that the place of overcoming is in the consciousness of humankind. The place of overcoming is in the consciousness. So if we're in a heap of trouble, if it appears that we are literally, quite literally, destroying Mother Earth on a day-by-day basis, what must change first in order for the environment to change is our consciousness of it. Yes? We're talking globally. We're talking in our community, this greater community, in our UCR community, and we're talking about individually. So naturally, a shift in our consciousness will outpicture in us having different actions and the earth having different outcomes than are currently predicted. What can we do?
I'll tell you what we can
Do you have a list?
I have a list. And a few more facts, actually. So, lawns, our yards. We love our yards, and we love our lawns, and we see lots of those little creatures at night that glow. What do you call them? Fireflies, yes. And due to our lawn care, there's so many less of them along with our other insects. So with lawn care, we could use battery or electric mowers. We could mow less often or not mow at all and plant pollinator gardens of native grasses. So those are some ideas to think about. And letting your lawn be natural, actually not even using mulch, but using your leaves that fall from our trees and that kind of thing, is a better idea than even mulching. The cow solution. Reduce our reduce our herds. We could be vegetarian. We could eat less meat in a week. or maybe eat meat only once a month. Variety of ways that could change for people. For food waste, uniformity in the food labeling would actually help us out, and perhaps that will happen one of these days. There is also one of the world's largest grocery store chains, which it's hard to believe. This grocery store chain, Tesco, has 6,800 stores worldwide. And they did a trial run, and they are going to expand that. They saved the equivalent of 50,000 meals worth of food by donating that food to charity groups. I'll say that one more time. Tesco saved the equivalent of 50,000 meals worth of food from heading to the landfill by donating it to charity groups. What a cosmic idea. The U.S. is far behind on what foreign countries are doing, but we are learning and we are progressing in that direction. Italy followed the country of France footsteps by becoming the second country in the world to require supermarkets to donate their unsold food to charities. Only 2 countries in the world is doing this. I mean, like, wow, we have hundreds of countries. Wonderful. Denmark is also home to the first supermarket dedicated entirely to surplus food. Shall we go? And in the U.S., I will say a few things about us. In Vermont, in 2014, Vermont passed a new law that capped the amount of food companies could take to the landfill. So that is happening here, and that law also went into effect in Massachusetts last year. And there are ways individually that we can contribute to the health of the planet by, knowing what our grocery list is and staying with it and not over purchasing food, perhaps. Maybe it's asking a restaurant to not give you side dishes or to split a side dish, perhaps. Also, leftovers, taking home leftovers. I'm big on taking containers to restaurants wherever I may go and doing that kind of thing because we know where it goes. It goes into the landfill. And as far as plate sizes, which we have fairly large plates at Unity, but they are 36% larger today than they were 50 years ago. It's amazing to me sometimes, but so the solutions that we have talked about, they are small steps for huge, large outcomes that lessen the effects of global warming. And again, those were mentioned by Brenda as far as our weather, rising sea levels, etc. So to be mindful of our power in the world and what we do with it, to the earth or with the earth. We know the mantra about reuse, reduce, repurpose, and recycle, and it's real, it's very true, and it does work. In our community, there are lots of things in Cedar Rapids that happens. There's much more solar and LED lights being put in, but one thing that I think is really important is that there are 2 places in our community, one in Marion and one in Cedar Rapids, that recycles metal. And I was out there one day, and there was a huge, large container, I guess, that had, 50 bicycles in it. And I think this perhaps came from Goodwill. But I mean, there are places to take your metal. And if we recycled and we composted, there would be very little that would go into our landfills because everything would be so small of our bag of garbage. And I guess in saying that, UnityCR here, we have done many things over the years to lessen our footprint. And one that is quite significant is our composting. So we are not putting paper napkins and paper towels into our garbage anymore. So we end up with a much smaller bag that goes to the landfill. And with that said, we would also like to hear from you. the things that you do in your life or your everyday life that is good for Mother Earth. Oh, there's Kevin. Yes, I'll go. I'll go. It is on.
Just checking. One of the things that I practice is when we go out to eat, I don't get dessert because I come home and eat my lovely wife's blue ribbon desserts at home.
Ah, yes.
We got rid of our paper towels and paper napkins and we use cloth.
Yes. It is a goal of UnityCR about that.
The workplace is a big, I know in my case, I've kind of educated people and told them that the dumpster, the recycling bin is not just for cardboard, it's for everything, the kitchen, everything. I do silly things like grab pop cans out of the trash. And it just galls me to people throwing stuff away. But, you know, be mindful in your workplace. Hopefully there's at least they release the recycled paper. Because I think the biggest, I think last year, your Earth Day sermon revealed the fact that most of the waste, it's mostly paper products, I believe, unless it's changed. But be mindful at work. You know, start something, suggest something. You know, do a little, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Pull some bottles and cans out of the trash for crying out loud, you know.
Thank you. I have been known to do that here at Unity.
I don't know if anybody knows about this, but the city of Cedar Rapids actually has an elite recycler program where you can tour the recycling facilities and get educated on just what you can recycle and what you can't recycle and things like that. And one of the things that just, because I went through it and I got a t-shirt, it's awesome. But the thing that really surprised me was the idea that they're trying to, the goal that they have at the recycling facility is a zero garbage lifestyle, where absolutely everything is either recycled, composted, or reused. So I was like, I just couldn't imagine that that was even possible. But years ago in Phoenix, I know it's possible. It is possible. That's why I'm saying it, so it's possible in everybody's head now. When I lived in Phoenix, years ago, we have recycling there a lot longer than it's been here, as far as my experience is. But in 1 week, I would have like a bag this size of garbage and 3 like 20-gallon bags of recyclables. And I needed a larger recycle bin than garbage bin. And then I moved here and I was like, wait, you don't recycle? Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with my stuff? I don't know what's going on. But there's a lot that can be done.
Thank you.
Our Lynn County landfill is great. You know, people just take all their stuff in. The people come in with their trunks and ladies, and we recycle everything. You know, magazines and cans, and I have very little bit of stuff that goes to the actually in the landfills.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Here
I think there's places that actually don't have recycling, like apartment complexes and mobile home courts. They don't offer that option. My thought is to encourage you to find someone who will take your recycling, save it, gather it up, and then find someone who can put it in their recycling bin in Cedar Rapids. Don't just say, well, we don't do recycling at my apartments, and so therefore it all goes in the dumpster. Look for an alternative.
And
My plate is for your yard. Do not fertilize it. Gaia does a wonderful job of that. Let the leaves break down. That's the best dirt you'll ever have in your life, is those leaves breaking down on your grass. Don't use pesticides and herbicides. We need every spider, every bee, every ant we can have cleaning up our yards. And earthworms are good. Do not get rid of them out of your yard either. Don't get rid of the violets, the ground ivy, because they're noxious weeds. They are really herbs and they heal our bodies. Violets are packed with vitamin C. They're wonderful for the ladies' upper body parts. Ground ivy is wonderful for removing heavy metals from your body. The painters in Europe used it to take the lead out of their system after painting all day. Nettles, they can be a little bitey, but they're good for us. They're good for our guts. We make tea out of it. You make spinach. You know, all of these things are good for us. Don't get rid of them out of your yard just because you don't have that perfect carpet of the real weed, grass. But
It's about the earthworms. I just read a report on Huffington Post a few weeks ago. Earthworms love coffee grounds. Or if you do loose tea instead of tea bags. So now I'm collecting coffee grounds in a little plastic container on my kitchen counter. When that's full, I just go sprinkle it in the backyard. So don't put your coffee grounds in the trash. Give it to your lawn.
Back on the recycling front, businesses don't have recycling like your homes do. And I work for a nonprofit, and we implemented a recycling program at our organization, and we have volunteers who come and haul the things to the recycling center. And so if you feel passionate about this, you could encourage your nonprofit that you have an affinity to recycle and volunteer to do that. We might lose a volunteer and then we get another one because somebody else really appreciates what we're trying to do. And it was quite a bit of education. The staff, a few staff were maybe a little resistant, but people have come around and they've even said that they've started adopting better recycling habits at their own homes. So. Oh, and one other thing too is we have started composting because the women in our housing program have a garden that they tend. And so now as an organization, we're composting in support of that garden.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
I want to compliment someone in this room about the recycling effort. And I missed that before, but I want to say that every day my wife walks the dogs twice a day, morning and evening. And every time she walks, she takes a bag with her and she collects everything on the street, not just the cans, paper, all kinds of stuff, which she brings back to our home, and then she recycles everything. She goes from all of that trash, recycles it and gets it. And I think Barbara needs a lot of applause.
So thank you, Kevin, and I'm sorry you were not picked up on the mic, but essentially when you take a walk, take a bag, pick up everything, bring it home and put it where it belongs. So
let's finish up with Ruth and Kyle, okay?
I just wanted to let you know that I spent my summers with my grandmother on the farm, and we did not waste food. And she was famous for her Saturday refrigerator soup. And my grandmother, if she had a tablespoon, a teaspoon of anything, it went into the refrigerator, and then on Saturday out came like a ham bone or a beef bone or something, not a prime cut of meat of any kind, just to flavor. And you never knew what you were going to have in your Saturday refrigerator soup. But there was nothing wasted. She taught me how to smell food and to know if food was good by its smell. She taught me how if you have a strawberry and a third of it doesn't look so hot, you ate the other 2/3. So she taught me these things, and these are arts that I hope we bring back and we utilize once again, because this is where we stop wasting our food. Thank you.
thank you.
We, Lindsay and I, for about 10 years or so, have been getting our electricity from Alliant Energy. And you guys probably already do this, but we participate in this program called Second Nature, where all of our, we're off the grid. All of our electricity is provided by wind methane, solar energy. So, yeah, it's one of the options they offer.
Thank you.
Wow. So, Carl, say the name of that program again. Second Nature, and it's something that we can inquire with Alliant. All right. I did not know about that. So thanks. Every individual, do you see this? Like, think about what each of us are already doing in our everyday lives. Think about the suggestions that we've heard today and things that we can add to what we're already doing. Multiply that times 7 billion. Because it does begin with individual consciousness, and it does begin with seriously connecting our life choices to the peril or success of planet Earth. And if we're doing it and talking with the people around us and picking plastic water bottles, I won't even go there because it's not pretty. Plastic water bottles, aluminum cans, that kinds of things out of trash. I do that regularly around here. Starbucks cups. Has anybody ever seen these? They're thermal cups and they're reusable. And if you are propelled every single day to go out somewhere and pay someone, what is it, $5 or $6 or $7 for a cup of coffee, at the very least, could you please ask them to put it in a recyclable cup? I have no idea how many paper Starbucks cups go in the trash every day, and I won't say any more about that either. Reusable bags as opposed to the one-use trash bag. And the statistics have not changed on this. The one single biggest difference we can make is reducing our meat ingestion, not just cows, pork, beef. What are the birds? Turkey and chickens. What are the birds? So just reducing the amount of meat that we ingest makes the hugest difference. So far as we know, there might be other news, but as far as we know, this planet Earth is the only home we've got. And we truly are all in this together. Yes? So can I get an amen about do it right here, right now? Man, let's have some meditation, Barb.
So let us move into meditation. And I would invite you to pause and reflect on the beauty of the earth and asking, what is mine to do in caring for the earth? Earth, the place we call home. Remember the beauty of the earth that has deeply touched you. Was it the forests, the lakes, the deserts, the plains, the mountains, all creatures, great and small. We have bountiful daily gifts of nature surrounding us in many ways. Before rising for the day, we awaken to our feathered friends singing in the morning for us. We become grounded and connected to earth by placing our feet on the floor. Water is the gift of life, and we connect to it by splashing warm water on our faces in the morning, or bathing, or with a cup of coffee. And we remember how precious water is on earth. Drawing air deeply into our lungs, we are reminded of the plant life on earth that takes our carbon dioxide and gives us pure oxygen. Every day is to love Mother Earth. Every day is Earth Day. For indeed, we are the stewards of our magnificent home. Earth, the place where we care for creation and our service to the earth is holy. Blessed be. And so it is.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Nina. Now comes the time that we gather our tithes and offerings, understanding that as we give, we are giving from source, the almighty source that we know as God, as substance, as life. And as we bless what we give, it goes forth on the wings of love for great works. There's a blessing in the bulletin. I invite you to know it with me. It's on the right-hand side, and it begins with the words divine love. Together, please. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful. And we're extra grateful because the Spirit Choir has one more song for us, and I just buried the name of it. Called Healing Time on Earth. Healing Time on Earth. How appropriate. Yeah, you and everybody else, darling. And so thinking about that healing energy for Mother Earth, thinking about our consciousness, thinking about our gifts, all coming out of a consciousness of gratitude and a consciousness of blessing and a consciousness of knowing that God is in the midst. And so with this prayer, we lift up our hearts And we send our vibrational energy throughout this entire planet. We are the healers. We are the givers. We are the receivers. And for this knowing, we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.
I just want to
Before we begin our peace song, Nina, and our prayer for protection, two things I want to mention. Barb, of course, is the chair of our Earth Care team, and she also represents UnityCR in our region and nationally in UWM. And Jim Green is our Godful Grounds chair. And how we look on the outside is really important because people notice as they come up and down Blair's Ferry. So as we're getting in the season of tending to our own gardens, I appreciate your getting in touch with Jim and letting him know when you have a half hour or an hour or an afternoon, because you have a very long list, I'm sure, don't you, Jim? The other piece I want to mention is Judy Jungi's benefit last night. Yeah.
Wow.
If you weren't able to be here, please know that you can contribute online. And Ruth has that information. It was in the e-news article this last week. Judy's living with a health challenge and has been for some time now, not able to physically work. So my prayer is, and I'm eager to find out what our end result was. My prayer is that we just need a U-Haul to get that money over to her. Thank you all who were here. Last night I drove in from Chicago yesterday and came over here, and when Bill and I turned the corner and I saw the chock-full parking lot, I almost burst into tears. It was an amazing event. Nancy DeVokie did a phenomenal job. And I can't say enough about the Wish on a Star team, their organization of the auction. It was an amazing event. And the thought that I held in my heart when I left here last night, the whole time I was here in the evening, just being in the energy of us caring for one another is completely overwhelming. And when I went up to say goodnight to Judy, I gave her a kiss on the forehead and I said, "Quite a night, huh?" And she smiled and nodded. And she said to me, and here I thought I was all alone. And I looked in her eyes and I said, "And now you know differently." And she said, "Yes, I do." So I bless each one of you for lovingly supporting Judy in her journey. Peace song.